Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Pow Block here on Virtuos Network. I'm your host and Light Excited Eddie V. Joining me is the one, the only bossman himself, Mr. Corey Dirrig. Hello, good sir.
Hello, Ed. Nobody on this show got laid off, so.
Whoa.
Ooh, yeah, we may touch a little bit about that, so
maybe we'll see.
So, I know it's been a big topic. Everybody, of course, with Microsoft, things are coming out. So, just wish the best for those who have lost their job, and with studios closing, hopefully those people can find work.
It's okay though. We're getting Helldivers 2 on Xbox. All is saved, according to the Xbox community. People.
I actually, let me introduce my next guest. Everybody, of course, she's from the Boss Rush podcast. She loves her indies. And she's our indie block hostesses, I should say. The one, the only, Miss Stephanie Klimov. Hello.
Hi. Thank you for letting me just not take over. Thanks for letting me just join again. I missed you guys so much, and I want to talk video games. How was everyone's July 4th?
I had to work 2 stores, so I didn't get to spend no 4th of July.
It was fine.
Yeah, it was. I had to get the store that I was working at. I had to get one of their employees to come with me to work at my store to close. So it was, kind of just a regular day. A lot of people weren't even celebrating 4th of July. People started telling me like Happy 4th, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's new. Never heard that.
America Day.
Yeah, just nobody. People had their fireworks and stuff going, but really nobody celebrated yesterday. So
tell our neck of the woods that was. I'm surprised our whole town didn't blow up.
Yeah, our fireworks stuff started happening around.
I'm not. Our town is.
Yeah, one of our fireworks started around 12, 11 o'clock. So.
Well, back when I worked in my retail CVS days, I would actually intentionally, because we all had to contribute and work a holiday, right? So I would actually pick the 4th because the CVS I'd work at had fireworks around, so where you could park in the parking lot and watch the fireworks. So I just, but I just kind of took it easy, ate a lot of food, just your typical gluttonous American over here.
Yeah, I had some, we went over to my sister-in-law's house and we had some burgers and hot dogs and, the general American
tradition
food spread. And I ate too much, as per usual. And I'm feeling it today. That's all I'm going to say. Feeling it. Feeling a little sluggish and heavy. But I went outside and mowed the lawn today, so that was okay.
There you go. You sweat it out.
I've been cleaning, so.
Yeah.
I finally got a day off. They've been changing my work at schedule. My schedule at work. So it's been cuckoo crazy bananas. So, yeah.
Nice.
Well, you guys, how about we get into this housekeeping and get on with the show? This is Nintendo Pow Block, the Nintendo podcast from Boss Rush Media and the Boss Rush Network. We record each and every episode live on Twitch, YouTube, and X/Twitter every Saturday night. So come hang out, be a part of the conversation in the live chat, and give us a follow while you're there. If you'd like to support Boss Rush, you can check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/Boss Rush Network, where you can gain early and exclusive access to content like the Nintendo Pow Block, One Up Patreon show, and Expansion Pass. Become a Patreon producer and more. As always, if you can't support us financially or join us live, your listenership and viewership is enough for us. Subscribe to Boss Rush on YouTube and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, consider leaving us a 5-star rating and a review or a comment. It will help with discoverability and growth. New episodes post every Monday morning on podcast apps, YouTube, and our website on bossrush.net, where you can also find our daily banters, reviews, listicles, and more. Everybody, I do have, for me, I have my Darkness, the Evil Within article written and ready to be not the Evil Within. Endless Night, the Darkness Within. Oh goodness. I have the article ready. I just gotta send it to our team and it will be out for you guys to read. And then I gotta work on some more of my interviews, and hopefully you guys will enjoy them. Because I have one more from Canada, and then I have Pick Me to do, and Royalty Free for All. I have that one to do. So those I will be working on soon.
Nice.
So nice.
So everybody, how about we get into Snacktendo? And I'm going to start the Snacktendo because I had to rush to go get my Chipotle yesterday. I'm at this other store and I ordered my Chipotle and I expected the next manager to come in so I could go ahead, get my food, and then get to work. Now, Chipotle closes at 3 p.m. in my area to, celebrate 4th of July. And she ended up coming late, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I had to drive like a hoodlum out of the hood. And I literally got there at like 2:55, where there was about 5 minutes closing. They still had one person in and they was cleaning. This one girl looked at me. She was like, what are you doing here? I was just like, I'm coming to get my food. Ran, got my food, and then went to work and ate it there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then just drinking. I had 2 Gatorades, where they're now mixing flavors. So they had their Cool Blue, which is their raspberry and fruit punch, and then they had their lemon lime with orange. And I'm like, yeah, the only way to drink these is if it's really hot outside, and these are cold. And everything. But that's pretty much it. Nothing else for me. Oh, and some vanilla strawberry swirl Frosties from Wendy's.
That sounds delicious.
Really, really good.
Frosties.
Yeah, they got different flavors now for the Frosties. You could get it with chocolate or vanilla, but you could get different toppings with it in flavors. And it's been so good in this hot heat.
Nice.
Stephanie, what have you been snacking on?
Yeah, so let me get you all caught up. Well, firstly, not a ton of new or exciting things because my ulcer is coming back, so I have to severely limit what I can eat. But I was insistent on trying out this new sushi buffet a couple towns over, and there were like a line out the door. It was like an hour wait. I'm like, whoa. So the whole left side is all you can eat sushi. And the right hand side is like just Asian food. They had Korean barbecue, so much. And then they had free access to like any drinks that you wanted and any desserts that you wanted. So it was pretty good. Now, granted, if it's a buffet, so the quality is probably like not the same quality as if you order sushi made for you at a restaurant, but it was cool. It's been many a year since I attended. I've been to a buffet. And then, for the 4th of July stuff, I offered to smoke or grill something for my parents, and they told me, no, we would rather eat at Applebee's. So we went to Applebee's yesterday. So yeah, it was kind of a kick in the nuts there, but I had a burger quesadilla, which actually is quite delicious because I love quesadillas and I love burgers. And that's how I celebrated my 4th of July. It was a burger quesadilla at Applebee's, and it was greasy and delicious, and I paid for it dearly afterwards.
Oh. You had cleansed the soul.
Jeez.
Corey, have you done any soul cleansing?
I don't think anyone has done soul cleansing on the level of Edward Varnell. But
wait, what?
What? I mean, all I really had yesterday were some grilled hamburgers and some chips and some really delicious salsa. So that was good. And then tonight we ended up getting the Mexican place that I really like, and it was really good too.
Can't go wrong with Mexican.
You got your fatty fat burrito?
Yeah. What did you say, Stephanie?
Nice.
Say that again,
Stephanie. No, I
just
can't go wrong with Mexican.
Yeah, she's like lagging.
Can't go wrong with Mexican.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh no! Can you hear me now?
Oh no!
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
For now.
I must be really lagging, but all right. I said nothing important.
Yeah, you are.
Keep going.
I got my really delicious burrito today, and like it had so much of the hot sauce, like the hot sauce on it, that when you opened like the wrapping, you could smell the salsa. Like it like burned when you smelled it. So, but it wasn't too bad. It was fine. It was all good. Delightful, as they say. So
enchanting.
Sure.
All right. Well, everybody, we're about to talk about what we've been playing with Power. Corey, what have you been playing with Power?
Oh man, you started with me. I didn't even have my dock open. So I
shame on you.
Hey, it's been
I know.
Let's see. Aside from some Mario Kart today with the kids, we also tried to play Super Mario 3D World, which is the Cat Mario game, as my kids call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time I ever played with more than one person. Or
wow,
maybe two people. And my wife got involved, and like my son just wants to race to the end of the level and be done.
Of course he does.
So he doesn't wait on any of us to try to like, because I'm like trying to teach my daughter how to move in a 3D space, and my wife, like, because of the bubbles and stuff, like she gets lost and can't figure out where she is, and then I'm like sitting there trying.
So it's chaotic.
Oh my gosh, it's so chaotic. My son he's like, why can't I be the cat? I'm like, you got to grab the bell. He's like, I don't want the bell. And I said, then you can't be the cat.
No.
he's something. But other than that, I've been taking my time with the Claire Obscure Expedition 33 New Game Plus. Still playing that. I just got to SKA's Den, which I'm very this is when the game starts getting good. So I'm making my way through that. But there are two other games that I've been playing on Switch in particular, because I'm in this weird holding pattern until Donkey Kong comes out. It feels like. So I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. I'm a little bit further than I was on the Boss Rush podcast last week, but not much further because I just haven't had a lot of time. But also, I've been thinking about Final Fantasy VII a lot lately and how I never finished it again. So I've been playing that. I just picked up where I left off from when I stopped playing, like, I don't know, a year ago at this point. I was going to say 6 months ago, but it's been way longer than that. So what I have been doing is, so I turned on the essentially you can't die mode, and you always have your limit break mode, and battles are 3 times as fast. So like I flew through a boss battle just today that people probably back in the day probably spent like 20-25 minutes on, and I flew through it in like 3 minutes. And I think I'm severely underleveled, which is also fine, whatever. But essentially I'm at the point in the game where I just finished Cosmo Canyon and learned about Red 13's father and how dramatic that all was. But it's not very dramatic when you just see like little, polygons moving their head like this and you have to read everything. It's not as dramatic as games are these days. I'm sure it was in 1997, right? But
I was going to say, isn't it weird to go back on a clear classic and still a classic and, worth all the, I don't know what the word is. It's been a little gay, but praise, yeah, and still deserves that. But like once your senses are used to modern technology, modern graphics, modern game design, when you go back, it still can be a little crunchy.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to go back to old games, even ones that I've played before, just because of that, especially from like, I would say pre PS2 and GameCube and Xbox in particular, like N64, PS1. That era is really hard to go back to, especially because like, and this is why I'm really for remakes and remasters, right? Is because like, just makes everything so much nicer and cleaner and quality of life stuff. And even though these are remasters, right? The Final Fantasy VII version I'm playing is the remastered version that came out, maybe even 10 years ago at this point on PS4. But it's, it's really hard to go back to that. And it essentially, I mean, it was like when Mario 64 came out. We were all wowed by the 3D graphics, and then nobody wanted to go back to the 2D games, right, for a while. That's kind of like how I feel about this. But I am making it a point to finish some classic games that I've never finished before. Ed, you'll be happy to know I downloaded the first Mega Man Legacy Collection as well.
Yes.
Nice. I also downloaded the first Metal Gear Solid game because I've never played any of them except for Ground Zeroes, which is probably not an accurate assumption of how that series plays out.
Wow.
But I need to like make sure that I am playing like the greatest hits, if you will, no pun intended. Because there are a lot of games that are inspired by those games, and I don't know. Final Fantasy VII is definitely I would say one of the biggest ones, if not the biggest one on my list. So I've been making my way through that, and I've been playing a little bit of Destiny as well, but more of I need to learn how to play this game again before Edge of Fate comes out. Because I haven't shot a gun in this game in like 3 months.
Wow.
So maybe I should run around a little bit and figure out, I mean, I know they're literally changing everything when Edge of Fate comes out. It's literally probably would have been a great cutoff point for Destiny 3. And we've all kind of been saying in the Destiny community that it's Destiny 3 in all but name, with how much they're changing and the locations and the way that weapons work and the way that the sandbox works and everything. But
it's going to be a full-on story, like
Destiny. It's the next expansion. It's the next expansion. Okay. Yeah,
I guess it makes sense. I was at a pool party today, and I was talking to this young kid who is a big Destiny gamer. Not so much lately, just because life and adulting. But I asked him about the new expansion that's coming out, and he goes, yeah, it's almost like a whole new game on its own. They should have just made it Destiny 3. I'm like, cool. And I just nodded because I had no idea what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the community is pretty split on if there should have been a Destiny 3 or not. It's like, and it's not just like, yeah, if they would have made Destiny 3, I would have bought it. It's more like, no, my gear and my guns don't carry over. I don't want a Destiny 3. And it's like, and the other half is like, oh, it would have got new players in. It would have made sense because this is where you want to get new players in, and it's really hard to catch up. And it's like, gosh, just, I mean, I see both sides of the argument, but it's not that deep, guys. It's just, 90% of the players that jump into the game don't play it for the story, right? It's like, and the people who are playing it for the story have probably been playing since, at least Destiny 2 came out. So I don't know, man. People are dumb.
That's pretty much why I played it. I played it for the story, like the campaigns, and then off you go.
I do have to put the disclaimer out there, though, that Bungie did provide me a code for the Edge of Fate and the Year of Prophecy. So I will be doing some stuff with that in the coming weeks. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's been interesting.
Oh. Yep. Stephanie, what have you been playing with Power?
She can't tell us. Can't you read her list? She can't tell us. It says secret.
Stop it. You ruined the secret of the secret. Since I'm still trudging along with Cyberpunk on my Switch too. And that's becoming even slower going because of the other games, right? So the other ones, unfortunately, are Nintendo Switch games. Because I too am in a weird holding pattern before Donkey Kong. So first that's Death Stranding 2. This is the first Kojima game that I'm playing. First ever. So I was like, all right. It's different.
Oh wow.
It's very different. It's
Did
weird.
You play the first one?
No. I didn't. And they had a nice recap. Like there's a recap available. I'm still going to try and find a YouTube video to help explain things. But it's breathtaking. I really never thought the visuals could get any more realistic. It's interesting being a package delivery person. Like for me, I can't just like sprint from one location to another because once I start carrying a lot of stuff, my character just like, it's like you have 2 left feet. I'm like tripping everywhere. I'm falling off cliffs. So, but it's cool. It's funky. It's weird, but it's cool. And then indie game on Steam, Bahamut and the Walk Walk Tree. I played a demo that at PAX, and then the secret game that I'm not allowed to talk about because it's still under embargo. But the only thing I'll say is that it's probably my most anticipated indie game of the year. So I'm very excited. So that's all I've been playing.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
how about you, Ed?
All right, for me, been playing Cyberpunk on Switch, really enjoying it, doing the side quests. I'm kind of doing the BD part, the brain dance part. So I gotta finish that and then get into the mission before I get Keanu Reeves and stuff. There's no spoiler or anything with that. Played Date Everything. This is where you are a person who is trying to date items and appliances and beds and stuff in your house. You're trying to make a connection with them. The thing about it is that even though you have these super looking glasses on, if you see something that you can heart, you build it up and then that item reveals itself and gives its name. And then you just go around, you get 5 chances for that, and then it goes up to the next day where you gotta rest. And so it's been really funny because everything gets voice and stuff, and Ben Starr is great in this game. So truly been enjoying my time with that. Played Tears of the Kingdom today. Finally started it up and did the update. runs flawless. It looks so good at 60 frames per second. It's just wonderful. And it's funny. The part I'm at is I've been climbing this mountain and it's been raining, and I couldn't understand why. And then I found a spot where I could use my ascent abilities and go up some places, and then climb up and go over and kind of see this Coliseum where there is a three-headed lightning dragon.
Oh.
And I'm like, all my stuff is metal and it is raining.
Oh
and
no.
Me and my guardians are gonna, just let's head out this way. We're not ready for this. And we booked it. And then I found out where you could get into it. It's just like, wait a minute, I climbed this mountain and it was over here just to get to it. I was just like, this game. So definitely am enjoying that. Like I said, I just started it on Switch 2, continuing that game and having so much fun. And then I downloaded Resident Evil 5 on Switch 2. Just to see how it would run and everything. Right now I got it on easy with auto assist. So if I ever get in trouble, the computer comes, it kicks them off me and everything. So I'm going to try to run through that game and everything. I beat Resident Evil 5 on PS3, so I'm fine with that. I've just decided to play it on Switch because I kind of want to get all my games powerful and then do New Game Plus on normal, and then just like mow the infected down because they're not zombies.
All right, let me know like as you get through it how the experience is, because believe it or not, I have the opportunity. Nick Apostolides, he actually asked if I was interested in playing Resident Evil 5 with him, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be good at it, and I don't know if I should play it on the Switch or not. So
do it. It's full on action packed. There's puzzle stuff that, once you get it, you be like, oh wow. And it's mostly doing teamwork. So if Nick is, doing the puzzle, he's gonna rely on you to do the shooting and covering. Or if it's vice versa, it's the same thing and everything. So I definitely say do it, have fun, laugh at the crazy bits, and just like if you guys both mess up, enjoy that time, crack up, laugh, and then go back in, and then just like, okay, now we know what to do, because it's not really scary. It's just a really action-packed game.
That's what I hear. It's very just actiony. Okay.
Yeah. So well, guys, is there any weekly pickups? I don't have anything at the moment.
I don't either.
Not for me.
All right. Then it's time for Femi News. Corey, take it away.
But Ed, we still have 45 minutes of time to burn before we actually start the segment.
Oh, do we?
I'm just kidding. No. I'm just warning everybody now. This is gonna be one of them short episodes nobody likes. All right. So our first news story.
Is that my fault?
Dude, there's nothing to talk
about.
Oh. There's enough going on the other two sides of gaming that Nintendo just decided to stay out of the news this week, apparently.
What's going on with Sony?
Well, I mean, they put Helldivers. They're putting Helldivers on Xbox, so that it has kind of. We'll talk about it later.
Cause some questions.
Porting studio Virtuos believes Switch 2 can outperform its predecessor. This article comes from our friends over at Nintendo Life. Virtuos, known for porting major titles like Dark Souls and The Outer Worlds to the original Switch, is optimistic about the Switch 2's future. In a recent interview, Virtuos leaders expressed confidence that the system will surpass its predecessor thanks to a booming handheld gaming market and a strong mix of indie hits, Nintendo exclusives, and AAA blockbusters. They also highlighted the power of the Switch brand and the clarity of the two brings it to brings to its identity, calling it Nintendo's most iterative console in decades. With over 3.5 million units sold in its first 4 days, the Switch 2 has already set a new Nintendo launch record, and other developers like CD Projekt Red and Capcom are also backing the new platform. Yeah, I mean, look, Virtuos does a lot of work, right? They've ported a lot of the Final Fantasy games over. They've done a lot of AAA kind of porting, similar to Panic Button does, and Saber, and we praise them a lot. Virtuos has a lot of people working at it. They port games all the time, so they're also handling the port of Helldivers, or helping with the port of Helldivers 2 to Xbox, even though Nixxes has taken the primary porting. They're kind of working with them as well, I guess. So they're kind of all over the place, but I mean, this is kind of what we've wanted as Nintendo fans, right? Is like Nintendo finally can compete in the AAA space outside of Nintendo games.
Yes.
I'm having a really hard time accepting the fact that that Street Fighter 6 and Cyberpunk look and run as well as they do on my Xbox, to the point where like I'm like still conflicted of like where I should play these games now if I want to, even though Switch is the obvious place in my heart. Switch is the obvious place. In my brain, it's messing with me. So I mean, how do you guys feel about what Virtuos said about Switch 2?
I ain't saying it, because every time that they already put like July, like they're going to be some stuff in stock coming soon, and when they put them out, people go there and buy them. So I think it's going to be a while before Nintendo get high numbers. But I like, as long as great software come out, I believe that this is going to happen. I think they're going to outsell their predecessor.
Stephanie?
Yeah, definitely possible, but this little bit, it doesn't surprise me. So I'm sorry that was like kind of a dud answer, but it just makes sense to me. I'm looking forward to seeing what it can do, but this further backs that Nintendo will hopefully get better third-party support. Corey, like you said, in the AAA space. Which is all the less reason for me to own all three consoles, right? Because I already am I favor my Switch or my Nintendo family of systems. And if the Switch 2 can now incorporate other titles that would kind of otherwise be maybe only on PlayStation or Xbox, it eventually makes its way to Switch 2. I mean, I'm probably going to lean that way. Let's just hope we don't have to wait a few years after a game's out on other platforms to get it. So...
Yeah, I think just because it's the launch year, any AAA game that comes to Switch it'll be a little bit of a wait. But I think after maybe like the first year or 18 months, I think a lot of these games will be day and date. Because of the fact that maybe they didn't get dev kits right away, or maybe within 6 months of the system launching, like you can't port a game in that short amount of time, right? It took Nixxes a year to port Helldivers 2 to Xbox once they decided to do it, and they run on literally the same architecture. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to do that right off the bat, but like we have Borderlands 4 coming, although they did say it was not coming out on launch day on Switch 2, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of other games coming out. I know Madden is also a big one coming out. Tony Hawk comes out this week, which I'm very excited for, day and date. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Virtuos does. I think they are also handling the Final Fantasy VII port to Switch, because they have a really good relationship with Square Enix, and they port a lot of their games to other platforms. So yeah, we'll see. I'm here for games being ported to Switch, right? So
yeah, I think that's going to boost a lot of those companies because those games are on Switch, and more people probably who haven't finished those games probably going to finish them on Switch too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Our next bit of news, sort of. Nintendo's dock supports variable refresh rate. So why doesn't Nintendo let you use it? While the Nintendo Switch 2 supports variable refresh rate in handheld mode, it surprisingly doesn't use this feature on when in docked mode, despite both console and dock being technically capable of using it. Tests by The Verge confirm that the dock can output VRR when used with other handhelds like the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, making Nintendo's omission all that more confusing. Although Nintendo initially advertised VRR support for TV mode, those claims were later quickly removed and with no clear explanation given. For now, players hoping for smoother TV gameplay will be left waiting for answers. So this article comes from Tom's Guide, which is a they usually don't do gaming hardware specific things, but they usually test like, PC hardware and we use them a lot at work for enterprise IT type stuff, news stories. So yeah, I don't know. This is weird. I just feel like this might be one of those things that maybe Nintendo will patch in eventually, like the Bluetooth headset thing. 5 years from now. Hopefully,
that's a good question. Like, what? I wonder why the option's there, but it's not allowed. I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to be in Nintendo's mindset. Like, must be some practical. I don't know. I just have a hard time trying to think.
Yeah. I think it's something that Nintendo does. It's just not focused on. Like, it's just it's a functionality for games that's not a big deal. Definitely probably through Nintendo.
Oh, it's a big deal. It's for people who care about that stuff. It's a huge deal. This isn't.
Yeah, but
like, it's very noticeable when I go to play a Switch 2 game on my TV versus an Xbox game, because Xbox supports variable refresh rate, and I think you also have to have it. A lot of people may not notice either because they may not have a TV that handles it, right? You have to buy a very specific level of TV that handles it. But the people that do will notice, right? It's just one of those things. It's not a huge deal, honestly. Like, honestly, probably 90% of the people that play something on Switch 2 won't even notice. But when you do notice, it's like the frame rate thing, right? Like, when you don't care about frame rate, but then you finally play a game at 60 frames a second, and then you drop and go back to a game that plays in 30 or sub 30, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible.
You finally see the difference. See the difference.
Yeah.
But I think with, like, just speaking on the 30 versus 60 kind of thing, just a little bit before we move on, is that I think when you see it, like, even if you're playing like Welcome Tour and it breaks stuff down with that, I think people start getting that idea on what these functionalities and what these technical things are, because to the general public, they don't know what any of that means. Yeah, tech heads and PC players probably know it, but like, if you get a person who's playing video games and don't understand frame rates and what's 30, what's 60, or what's VRR and all of this stuff, they have to be taught that. They have to be shown that, and they have to be shown using the right equipment for that. And a lot of people just don't, they don't take the time to focus on that or learn about that. So I think, like, for Nintendo, I don't think that's why I said I think to them it's not a big deal just yet. But like you guys said, like, later on they'll patch it in, and maybe that'd be something for an update for a world tour, like, hopefully free DLC or something to help people understand this is what this does. And then probably be like, take out the dock so you can get an understanding of what it does on the system, and once that happens, they'll understand it.
Yeah. And I guess especially Nintendo fans, right, may not even know what variable refresh rate is, right? So essentially what it is if your game runs at a high frame rate and it starts to dip frames, like it starts to run at a lower frame rate for like a couple seconds or half a second or whatever, variable refresh rate will adjust the game to where you won't notice it, essentially. So it just makes a smoother, cleaner experience. And it usually is only held for games that run at 60 frames a second or higher. A lot of 120 frames games use this a lot. A lot of people that play in those higher 120, 144, 240 frames a second will notice way more than someone who plays at 30 or 60, I think. A lot of first person shooters on PC use it. Destiny uses it quite a bit. Cyberpunk, I think, uses it on PC at least, and more higher end consoles, right? But to that point, real quick, Ed, I am going to kind of retract what I said at the start for a minute, because the fact that we're talking about this is insane already. But Mark Cerny did an interview because they are also partnering with AMD on their next generation of consoles. And they were talking about the PlayStation 6 and how they are really working on making sure it is able to hit that like 4K standard kind of their PSSR, which is their version of DLSS, the AI up-resing, right, from like 1080p to 4K or whatever, making sure that can hit higher than 4K. And they were talking about all this stuff about resolution and they talked a little bit about frame generation. If you are a technical person, you should go listen to it, because Mark Cerny will put you to sleep talking about and not in a bad way, right? He just has that like smooth, low, almost NPR
ASMR.
But people are, a lot of like the hardcore gamers are like, what about the frame rate? But the statistic, it's something wild, like 81 or something, like in the low 80% of people play on quality mode. They never switch it to performance mode, which means the game runs at 4K 30, right? And this was a big deal when Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out, because a lot of people were complaining that it looked really fuzzy when you put it in performance mode to run at a higher frame rate. It ran at like 900p or something, which Square Enix isn't great at optimizing their games anyway in terms of like performance versus quality mode, but that's a different conversation. But the reason they gave was, well, we needed to make sure we hit the fidelity because most people want to play the game in 4K, right? That's just what they want to do. And, and the VRR and, all this other tech garbage is not a priority for some companies. And Nintendo, they've clearly never been, power and all this kind of stuff has never been a priority for them. It's been about how fun is the game and how well does it run without any of these, tech features and everything. So, and
plus, Nintendo does a different, and reason I'm bringing art style in this is because they have a particular look to their games for their art style, and it's not really like digitized or it's not motion cap. There's not all of those things that a lot of games, third party games, first party games use. Right, and so like a lot of that stuff doesn't matter with those added things because they don't use that kind of technology to make their games.
Right. So this will probably be patched in. My guess would be around holiday when like a lot of these other games start coming out, like Pokemon or especially Metroid Prime 4, right? Like if you're going to put a major first person shooter on, you better have some VRR in there.
Right. Or, and I know it's not first party, but whenever Elden Ring Tarnished Edition comes out, maybe, I don't know, but Metroid Prime 4 makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. They'll do it for a first party game for sure. Maybe not third party. I mean,
Yeah.
Not that Nintendo doesn't care about third party, but
no, I know it.
They've
Yeah.
always operated. Yeah. So
Yes.
they better start caring about third party though, because it's more important to their health than ever, I think, at this point. Specifically looking at Xbox and PlayStation.
Which, by the way, side note, like I know my sense of time is very warped, but when you were talking about like the discussions on the PlayStation 6, my mind was like exploding. I was like, I feel like I just got my PS5 like the other year. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
It's been out for 6 years already. I can't believe this generation has been 6 years already.
Well, because
that's what I'm saying. Like, my sense of time must be warped.
Yeah.
Oh no, go ahead.
It's crazy.
Because I kind of feel like it's a Wii U situation, you know, in the fact that it feels like even though it's been out for a bit, moving on to the next console doesn't feel surreal because you feel like even just Xbox and PlayStation 5, it doesn't feel like they have their library just yet of great games, you know, or like must have games and stuff. And they may have it, but it's just like, just from a first party sense for Microsoft and Sony, it's just like, man, if I look at the Switch One, I feel like they got a library. And then if you go to Xbox and PlayStation 5, it just be like, man, there's not enough games here. And that might be a first party thing compared to like a third party thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we all just come from an era where we're so used to like first party games coming out every 2, 3, 4 months, right? And like you'll get a whole trilogy of a series in one generation, as opposed to, you know, I mean, the Last of Us Part 1 came out in 2013 and it's 2025, and there's going to be a Part 3, right? Like, so, I mean, hopefully some people will have graduated high school, made it through college, and maybe become a doctor by the time that third part comes out. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And you know, we're looking at Gears of War, right, which is another series coming, kind of soft rebooting, essentially. You know, Gears 5 came out in 2019. 2019, and it's 2025, and we still haven't gotten a conclusion to that trilogy, which ends on a massive cliffhanger, spoiler. And we're getting a prequel in like a year or more, which means that sequel, if they make it, is at least 5 or 6 years away. Although it has been confirmed that the Coalition has 2 teams and they have a second and third project in the works, and People Can Fly are actually noted as a developer on E-Day, yada yada. I don't know. It doesn't matter. My point is 2019, guys. Come on. We need that ending. I don't care if people think it sucks. I need to know. Also, pick a canon part of the choice. Nobody likes the choice.
That's the thing about it. Everybody just like, what is the canon ending? Because spoiler alert, everybody.
No spoilers. People are just now playing it, and the games are coming to PlayStation. Let's not. I know. Everybody.
You get to choose 2 major people, during one of the battles before kind of like the game ends, and whatever choice you make, one might be canon, one might not be canon. So everybody want to know what is the truth of it, because when you're playing the game and you get to that point, you might question, why did they make this decision, or why you made that decision.
Yeah.
So
yeah, good times, huh? Video games, everybody. And you know, consoles might not even exist in 5 years, so we'll keep you posted.
Maybe everything will just be projected into our brains via an implant. Who knows?
Man,
exactly.
And Nintendo will still be like, you know, plugging away at their Switch 3, and it'll be the same thing, and everybody will
still need wires. Yep.
Yeah.
But on Nintendo, I think they'll come up with something different. at their next console.
I really don't want them to. All right, next story. Nintendo's Shinya Takahashi reaffirms supportive developer-first culture amid industry turmoil. This story comes from, I did not write the website down. Why did I not write it down? It comes from the Outer Haven. Nintendo's Shinya Takahashi has reaffirmed the company's commitment to collaborative and growth-focused development culture, emphasizing the importance of open idea sharing across teams and supporting young developers. In contrast to some of the industry's practices where pressure and blame trickle down to dev teams, Takahashi highlights Nintendo's approach of prioritizing thoughtful consumer-first game creation and fostering an environment where everyone involved in development can thrive. Yeah, so obviously this came out after the whole kind of whatever bomb went off at Microsoft this week. Not to get super into that at the moment, but there was a quote by Iwata when the Wii U, right? And this is like, I know like he took, didn't take salary for a while, and that's kind of a formality thing. It's not exactly going to save jobs, but it was a nice notion, thinking like, oh, well, instead of paying him, we can fund a game or get something in development or R&D or something, right? Like, but it wasn't about the whole like that. It wasn't about that. It was more about I forget what the exact quote was, but he was like, "Don't you think developers will make something more true and more powerful and more creative, knowing that their job is safe instead of feeling the pressure of maybe I won't be here tomorrow? You really think like a great game can come out of that environment?" And I've just been thinking a lot about that with Xbox recently, right? Well, probably the last 2 or 3 years, really, since they purchased Activision Blizzard, specifically, because I think we know the situation of when a company gets acquired, there's always consolidation, right? There's always redundancies. There's always people that aren't needed. And when you're a company as big as Microsoft and Xbox in general, right? The Xbox branch alone, as of 2 years ago, had when they purchased Activision Blizzard, they had something like 22,000 people working in the Xbox division. Okay, do you really need 22,000 people working on games? Or how big does your payroll department really need to be across all these places? Like, certain things like that, there will definitely be redundancies. And so this past week was kind of a gutting of Microsoft, essentially. Someone said 9,000 people on Wednesday. I heard yesterday probably going to be more like 15,000 people across Microsoft, not just Xbox. It's across Microsoft, and
still
Xbox is probably a quarter of that, I think they said. For those who weren't paying attention to that, and a lot of people don't really care about Xbox, which is understandable. Most people are PlayStation and Nintendo gamers. They closed the initiative, which was the studio that was working on Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark got canceled. Over 50% of Turn 10 got laid off, which was the Forza Motorsport team, which the only people left, from what I've been hearing through the grapevine, is the engine support team, the engineers who work on the Forza engine, which is also powering Fable and Forza Horizon, were all kept on board, and enough staff to keep Forza Motorsport patched and updated. And they're going to be a support team for Horizon now, because Horizon is the marquee game in that franchise now. When you stumble out of the gate like Forza Motorsport did as a live service game, you're gonna, I'm shocked it didn't happen sooner. 10% of King, which is the mobile game studio, which I'm going to be honest, probably should have been hit harder, because do you need 2,500 people working on a mobile game? I don't know, a series of mobile games. I know they do other things than Candy Crush, but like,
that's what I was about to ask. I'm like, is Candy Crush still that popular and important to people?
There's like 5 or 6 versions of Candy Crush. They have a couple other mobile games. I know they do support on like what Fallout Shelter and whatever the Elder Scrolls equivalent was, especially after they closed the Bethesda mobile studio last year. Who else? There's just a lot of teams that got hit really hard. The Halo Studios lost, I think, like 10 people, and that studio was gutted last year anyway because they're rebooting and everything. That series, it's
Everwild.
Rare was the other studio that got hit real hard. Like that whole team got laid off. They lost key development talent, right? Everwild got canceled, which means Sea of Thieves is their only product now, which means it's going to be, by the time they come up and conceptualize another game, that's going to be 4 to 6 years. The ZeniMax Online, Elder Scrolls Online studio, their new project, which literally 5 months ago, people during that interview with Phil Spencer and Matt Booty said that Matt Booty had to take the controller from Phil Spencer to finish the interview because he loved it so much. That whole team got laid off, which was like 430 people. The head of the studio instantly turned in his resignation because he said he didn't want to work in an environment like that, and thought maybe his, the amount of money he was making might save a few jobs. Also, side tangent, ESO in the last 8 years has brought in $2 billion in revenue. So you might think they might want another MMO that could do that, which was a third-person action looter shooter in the vein of Destiny and Warframe, set in a Blade Runner-like universe. So that sounded awesome. Something I would definitely want to get into. Project Blackbird. So there's quite the steamrolling going on over at Xbox. Makes it really hard to be an Xbox fan. A lot of their hardware team got hit too, because they are clearly partnering with Asus for their next hardware development.
Yeah, that's really rough, and it's unfortunate, but just to go back to Nintendo, I mean, Takahashi, even though it's a new era after Iwata, they're clearly still maintaining this work ethic, this business ethic that I always found to be really smart. I don't know if it's more of like an Eastern mentality or if it's Nintendo specific, but the fact that they understand that even though video games are a business, it's in the creative space, and you need to foster that positive environment if you want to put out quality product. And the fact that they focus on making sure that the people who are making their games are in that proper environment is just truly speaks to their commitment to quality. I know I'm speaking in circles. I'm using the quality word a lot, and they're just very efficient about that. Like they're not. I don't feel like they're overly staffed. I just feel like they just know how to run a tight ship. And it's just really refreshing that, love or hate Nintendo, they don't cut corners with their IP. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, they always know. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Corey. I'll go after you.
Okay. They know when to, like you said, Stephanie, they're very efficient. They know when to release, we always said during the Switch 1 era, they had a great job of releasing new games, like new AAA games, new, we'll just say for the sake of it, new AA games like Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom. They knew when to partner with the right people, like with the release of like Luigi's Mansion 3. They knew when to release a remake or a remaster. Like they knew how to thread their schedule to where even if they didn't have something brand new coming out, or it wasn't one of their first party teams, they knew which second or third party team to go to help get something out the door. and they've been very efficient, and they've really cleaned that up since the Wii U and 3DS era, right? I mean, Ed, when we started the show, it would be months before we get a Nintendo first party game on the Wii U, right? Because they would release 3 or 4 titles on the 3DS, and then we would get like 1 or 2 Wii U titles with nothing on the 3DS, and then we would get, you know, a couple more 3DS titles, and it's like, you know, and I think
you could just even tell by the Nintendo Directs that they were showing, and I think during that era.
Yeah, and I think they've really built out their studios to make different types of games because they were involved in both spaces separately for so long, that when you bring them together on a device that does both, they really know how to be efficient on what types of games to release when. And I think that's that, and also like their console isn't as powerful as, you know, they've been operating on a lower power level than the other consoles. They've been operating on lower budgets than the other consoles, right? Like they don't have a state-of-the-art motion capture studio. They don't do a lot of voice acting. They don't do a lot of outsourcing, which, you know, individually, the other companies that publish games, right? Like individually, those are, okay, this costs this much here, this costs this much, but it adds up, you know, and that's just cost that Nintendo doesn't need or doesn't have.
Yeah.
So,
what I was going to add was that Iwata talked about morale with the developers at Nintendo, and he took a 50% price cut, pay cut, I should say, with some other high level Nintendo employees, to make sure that their employees will still have a job and not come into work, like you guys said early, worrying about if they're going to be here or not. So when and during that time, don't forget that there were companies who were, you know, letting developers go. Bobby, what's his name from Activision, when they closed some studios and let people go, he had just got like a 4.1 million raise for his salary, and everybody was pissed about that. And so Nintendo doesn't want to do that. And that's why you might have kind of feel like if you want to have great games, if you want to have these number one game of the years or something to give people to talk about and want to support your system, you gotta have a development team that could, you know, come to work not worrying about if they're going to get laid off or not. You know, if there's going to be some security to it, and not many companies can do that nowadays. You know, nowadays it's a roulette wheel, you know, with the game that you release and everything. You may be lucky that it sells for you to keep your developers, or if you don't make the sales, they may shut you down just after that one game. You know, so I think Nintendo wants to avoid that. And they want to just reassure that for them as a company and for their developers, we want to reassure that, you know, talk to each other. You know, maybe there is something from other developers about the games and ideas I could bounce with. Because if it makes the game fun and it works, that's going to be now we're getting into the businesses. That's going to make us money. And the Switch's library speaks all about that. From games that no one cared about till they actually touch it and be like, okay, now I know why everybody wants this game. Fire Emblem is a good example. You know, Fire Emblem wouldn't be popular until you know, if Awakening didn't happen. You know, they were on, like, if Awakening didn't sell, Intelligence System was going to end the series. And now look at it. It's almost one of Nintendo's mainline games across the world, not just Japan, but across the world.
Yeah. It's something we talked about on Xbox Casuals this past week. You know, the difference between Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox is that Nintendo, this is what they do. Video games is what they do, right? Like, they don't really have anything else, really. I mean, obviously they have movies and TV shows and the theme parks, right? But you know, they have that, Sony, right? Okay, yeah, they have movies and they have their, music and TV shows, whatever. But their biggest moneymaker is PlayStation. PlayStation brought in over 60% of their revenue for the entire company last year. So they rely on PlayStation. The thing about Xbox is that it is Xbox, until they bought Activision Blizzard, made up about 6% of Microsoft's revenue in a year. 6%.
Yeah.
And when you this Activision Blizzard deal is the thing that killed Xbox. I think when Xbox finally makes that transition to third-party publisher / we're going to try to transition and make Xbox part of Windows, whatever they're whatever ecosystem combining they're trying to do right now. I think when that documentary or that article or that interview ends up coming out 15 years from now, it's all going to point back to this $80 billion that they spent on Activision Blizzard. And, it's, we talked about how if Xbox, because during the Xbox One era, Phil Spencer, when he was, promoted to the CEO of Xbox at the time, he fought with Satya Nadella. Satya Nadella said, why should we keep Xbox as a brand, as a platform? And Phil Spencer fought for it, right? He said, because gaming matters, because people need this. And so the Xbox One went on. They looked at what they could do differently from other companies, right? Game Pass, that's when Game Pass started popping up, and, Play Anywhere on PC. And, obviously the subscription model didn't quite work out how they wanted it to. So they started putting games on other platforms. Clearly not working out for them now. And they're just in this really weird spot where clearly Xbox leadership is not pulling the strings of what happens at Xbox anymore. It is, in my opinion, it is super clear that Phil Spencer is not in charge of Xbox anymore. He's a figurehead. He's a face to put on the platform. Sarah Bond is not running Xbox. She is a face to put on the platform. And then, I don't even know what Matt Booty and Aaron Greenberg do, right? I mean, Aaron Greenberg is the worst marketing leader I've ever seen. If I see him tweet out another picture of something that I can't purchase and not talk about the game that's coming out in a week, I don't know what I'm going to do. He's the worst marketing leader of any of the platforms.
And I think with Xbox, I know we're going to move on. I think with Xbox is that we hope that Sarah Bond would lead, because what she did during the Xbox One days was working. And what Phil Spencer was doing during that, being the face of it, it was working. That's why we look to Reggie. That's why we look to Iwata and Miyamoto and Trent, what's his name, from Nintendo. Like, when those guys came on, we recognize them. We recognize their presence and what they represent, how they represent Nintendo. So we were rooting for Sarah Bond when she took over Phil Spencer's position. I asked another podcast this question, with Microsoft and Sony acquiring all of these publishers, is Nintendo like really the real winner out of these because of the people that they purchase? We're not hearing these stories like we're hearing with Sony and Microsoft, with the publishers that they purchase and stuff. From with Nintendo, it's just like the stuff that they're doing, whether it's quiet or they're making moves in silence. It seems that they're winning, that they made the smart business decision. I think one of the, I think someone, one of their, I think that movie people that they purchased helped with Death Stranding too, and everything. And I'm just like, oh, that's cool for Nintendo to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I still think, like, if what I was getting at before, about Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond and everything, like, if Microsoft would have just sold off the Xbox brand or spun it out, or they worked for a different company, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think their vision of what Xbox should have been versus what Microsoft is kind of creating it to be would have been so much better, because they are obviously creative people. They want to see the creatives shine, right? You don't buy Double Fine and Ninja Theory and, Tango Gameworks because they're going to make the next Call of Duty killer, right? You make them because those are your prestige studios that make games that maybe won't sell 1 million units, but will give you that caliber of storytelling and art and interesting kind of weird gameplay that you want to differentiate yourself from the others with, right? I mean, how many times have we said all PlayStation has is third person over the shoulder action RPGs, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, Xbox wanted to get away from being the shooter racing studio, right? Because they were known for the 4 pillars, right? The big joke since the Xbox 360 launched: Halo, Gears, Fable, Forza, right? And now that they don't even really have that, they've had great games come out, right? I mean, Psychonauts 2 was great. Avowed came out this year, and South of Midnight came out this year. Indiana Jones came out at the end of last year. Forza Horizon is great. They've had a lot of great games come out. Gears E-Day looks great. The Outer Worlds and Outer Worlds 2. They've had so many great, interesting games come out, and yet we're still in this position. And I still think that Xbox would have thrived under a different situation or a different company in general at this point. But
I think that's why the story from Wii U to Switch and not closing studios and supporting these developers and having new IP come out, and like you said earlier, working with publisher, partners like Bandai Namco, Koei Tecmo, Platinum Games, WayForward, and all these other developers to put their games on Switch. Like, we see the transition that system that everybody, or not everybody, certain people had negative opinions about, to turn around to see the success of the Switch and everything. And during that transaction, no developer was affected at any of these companies. The only way they was affected is if that person left and they made that own decision.
Yeah. Well, I think unless Stephanie has any final thoughts on this, I think we can kind of save this conversation, the rest of it, for
Expansion Pass,
a different style of thing, because I don't know, man. I just feel like Xbox, just every time they do something great, they find the rakes to step on, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Stephanie, you got anything else to say about this?
Nope, I've said my piece.
Yeah. So
all right.
Sam Hall says that the happenings at Xbox is just sad. They made it. I hope they make it right for everyone who invested in the platform. Marine Gamer 12 says, hope y'all invested in PlayStation.
Yes. So,
yep. I did not. I hate PlayStation. I hate using my
PlayStation. Hey.
I don't hate PlayStation as a company. I don't like the user experience or the controller of the PlayStation.
It might look like a rocket ship, but I love it.
It looks like it should have a not safe for work sign on it. That's what it looks like. Anyways, speaking of Packwatch, here are the upcoming games you can play on your Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 this week, including one of my favorite games of all time. This is the first game I ever bought for GameCube.
And my Metacritic draft pick.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 Deluxe Edition comes out on 7/8. Get hyped for the legendary franchise to return with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Everything you loved is back, but revamped with more skaters, new parks, gnarlier tricks, eardrum-shattering music, plus a whole lot more. The base version comes out on 7/11. But if you get the deluxe version, you get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Doomslayer. So,
you know what I will say though? I'm not sure if it's like the best description to say that it's eardrum shattering music.
So, yeah, I mean, look, skaters' music hits different. I guess, I don't know.
Apparently.
Yeah, man. Oh, Tony Hawk. It was the first game I ever bought for a GameCube. That and Luigi's Mansion. Well, I got Luigi's Mansion for my birthday, and then I bought Tony Hawk with my money and that nasty orange controller that I still have.
Still haven't played no Tony Hawk game.
Well, whatever. I don't know. You're missing out. Also on 7/8, Missile Command Delta. The turn-based strategy game is wrapped in a twisted narrative thriller. Great for mystery fans, completionists, and players that love to explore and solve puzzles. Between inbound missile alerts, investigate the underground bunker to access locked rooms, uncover secrets, and strengthen your arsenal. I think this is from Atari, and I think it's a direct sequel to Missile Command Recharged, which was the remake of the first game they released a couple of years ago. By the way, all those Recharged games are sold in like 3-packs, so you can buy like Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3 of all their different older games. Asteroids, by the way, reminds me so much of Geometry Wars, it's not even funny. On 7/10, you have Flora and Fang, Guardians of the Vampire Garden. Flora and Fang, Guardians of the Vampire Garden is a single-player or local co-op adventure that puts you in the shoes of one of two lovable vampire siblings, Flora and Fang, as they embark on a mission to safeguard their dad, the infamous Dracula's precious pumpkin garden. Yes, that's what I think of when I think of Dracula. I think of pumpkin gardens.
Yep.
Fight the insect invasion. By the way, I got all these straight off the eShop store online, so this is Islanders New Shores. Build your island. This game looks really cool, by the way. If I had a lot of time on my hands, I would be sinking time into this. Build your island retreat in a calm, minimalist world with exciting new features that keep the classic charm while inspiring fresh creativity. Islanders, by the way, Islanders New Shores is part of the Islanders island hopping bundle. The first game is also included in the bundle, which is a minimalist strategy game about building cities on colorful islands. So you can check that out. It's only like $13, but it looks really fun.
All right.
For you Phoenix Wright fans out there, Best Served Cold is a alternate history Europe. In an alternate history Europe, the nightcap is the last speakeasy in town, and you're pouring the drinks while your customers spill their secrets. Mix and serve cocktails with a twist as you become detective while trying to save your bar. So this is essentially like almost Phoenix Wright meets Coffee Talk. So if you're into those games. System Shock 2 Remake. It's the year 2114, and as you awake from the cryo sleep on the FTL ship Von Braun, you are unable to remember who you are or where you are, and something has gone terribly wrong. Hybrid mutants and deadly robots roam the halls while the cries from the remaining crew reverberate through the cold hull of the ship. For those BioShock fans, this was the first project Ken Levine led. So if you're excited for Judas coming up, this also could be for you. I'd actually just downloaded the first System Shock remake because I've heard interesting things about that as well on recent podcasts. They've been playing through System Shock. So, Stephanie, I think this one might be for you. Bendy and the Dark Revival. Bendy and the Dark Revival is a first-person survival horror game and the sequel to Bendy and the Ink Machine. Players take on the role of Audrey, an animator who gets trapped in a nightmarish, inky version of Joey Drew Studios. The game involves exploring the studio, battling ink-tainted enemies, solving puzzles, and evading the ink demon, all while trying to escape the studio and uncover its secrets. Ed, you play the first one, right?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I don't know. First person horror. I don't know.
Right up your alley.
I do like the art style.
Sounds just like a game for you, Stephanie. Be fine.
Nope. Just like how deck building roguelikes are your kind of game.
Yeah, they're my favorite. You didn't know that? Apparently PR thinks they're my favorite because I get at least 10 emails a day about a new roguelike card building game.
Dude, I think that's apparently the genre that people like to make the most.
Yeah. Ugh. Yikes. Patapon 1 and 2 replay. This is one I'm really excited for. Patapon is an action adventure where players use the rhythm of 4 mystical drums to command cute and mysterious eyeball-like creatures known as Patapons. Patapon was so awesome on PSP.
Patapon.
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 That weird kind of what do you call it? Spiritual successor is also coming out soon. Ratatan
or something. Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are the major games coming out this week for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2. I think the only exclusive for Nintendo Switch 2 is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Although I think that's getting a Switch 1 version too, right? Yeah, it's getting a Switch 1 version. Never mind. You can play all these on your Switch 1 if you haven't gotten a Switch 2 yet. So
it's all right. We got Donkey Kong the following week, so this is fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Any of these games catch your eye? Anything?
I think I'm Best Served Code. I'm going to check out. I want to check out, and Sister Shock 2 remake. I want to check out. I actually need to do what you do, Corey. Is like check out the first one too.
Yeah, I'm starting to make a list of games I want to like. Not new games, but like older classic games that I've never played, and trying to find out if they have a modern-ish version to play through.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Nintendo Switch 2 game updates and DLC this week. There's no Nintendo Switch 1 updates that I found. There are 2 updates for Switch 2, specifically Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are getting updates to they're both resolving issues with Zelda Notes daily bonus effects not working at max hearts, including general gameplay improvements, etc. The general Nintendo gameplay improvements note. So no new games coming to Nintendo Switch Online, although if you missed last week, it is a nice reminder that the Super Mario Strikers on Nintendo GameCube is out now. Mm-hmm. So I loaded up the Nintendo GameCube app, side note, today, just to I like to order my games because I'm a weirdo. Why do we have the European versions of these games? I don't want those. I just want the good old USA versions. I need these crumpet eating, vinegar touting European versions.
Whoa! Hey now.
I'm just kidding.
I think the reason being is because we don't have the European version of games.
It doesn't matter. We have the American version.
So from Nintendo, from the NES to the Game Boy events, like we don't have none of the European versions. We got the JP version of some of those games, or we have Japanese release games. But I think for us, they just want to have it where it's American and the UK version because sometimes there's some differences in things. And it'll be a good challenge to play that game, the UK version, and see what it is.
Yeah, challenge yourself, man.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mario Strikers, though, I wonder how on the edge of his seat David Lasby is about Mario Strikers coming out soon to this thing.
Oh, he's
because it's happening
excited.
now. It's happening now because we're never getting a new one because nobody except for David likes it apparently. I've never heard anybody else like. I'm not saying it's a bad game. I have never heard anybody talk about that game the way that David talks about it, and it like man, there were a lot of Mario sports games at that time, weren't there? So keeping hope alive for Lasby.
Well, you know what? He's a big baseball fan, and baseball's my favorite sport too. Although I never had the opportunity to play Super Mario Strikers. So I guess this is my opportunity. I'll add that to my retro gaming to playlist.
Yeah, it was cool especially at the time when soccer was getting real. That's when like 2001, 2002, 2003 era is kind of when soccer started really becoming bigger over here.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Strikers was a good introduction, I think, for a lot of people. So, all right. And then on Nintendo Music, new Super Mario Brothers U soundtrack has been added from the Wii U, so you can listen to that as well.
The list keeps growing, and I love it.
Yeah, there's a lot of music on there. My daughter likes to listen to it sometimes. She really likes it when I play the Zelda music.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Speaking of Zelda, I hear Midna.
That's Midna. Oh, dude, Zelda music. My son loves the end credit theme to Link to the Past, and so much so that like we'll just be driving or doing something in the house, and I'm not playing music, and he'll start humming Link to the Past, the credits. So makes me happy.
Nice,
right, Midna?
My daughter, I've been looking up collectible figures because that's my obsession
now.
right now. It'll go away eventually, but
are you sure?
I was looking at I'm not sure. But I was looking at like a Midna figure that was way out of my price range. And there was like a couple other ones underneath it. And my daughter's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's Midna. She's one of my favorite Zelda characters." She's like, "She's ugly." I'm like,
"Ooh,
aw,
whoa."
But okay.
Some hate.
but because she doesn't have no context, she's saying that because of the appearance, not knowing the context.
You're not ugly. Yes.
But it was like, oh man, made me really sad just now. I love it. So, all right. That's it for that. We're gonna get into question block. If you want to write in, you can join our live chat. You can tweet at us. You can join our Discord. Highly encourage you to join the Nintendo Pow Block question block channel on our Discord and leave your questions there. Ed, this was tweeted at you.
Yes. So this is Big Nick at the Big Nick J, and he asks, "Deep love, marry, or destroy?" And I'm making it family friendly for the other version of what
the FMK version.
Yes. So we're gonna choose out of these three games which one will have deep love, which one will marry, and which one will destroy, I should say.
I love it.
So our choices are Donkey Kong, Super Mario 64, and Cool Borders.
So which version of Donkey Kong is it?
I was like, is it Donkey Kong 64? Like, is that the era we're looking at?
I guess it's a whole franchise.
Oh, but there's like there's good Donkey Kong games, and then there's definitely Donkey Kong games you can kill or destroy.
I mean, judging by the other two games, my assumption was 64, but
yeah, because Cool Borders is a PS1 game, and obviously Mario 64. So,
Well,
I have my answer already.
Shocking.
All right, go ahead. You start.
So I would deep love Donkey Kong. I would marry Super Mario 64, and I would destroy Cool Borders because Cool Borders is a PlayStation game, and we have our own snowboarding game that's better.
Yeah, can I just say I love snowboard kids.
I think the best snowboarding game that nobody ever played was Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding on the Nintendo 64, which was the Walmart clearance bin version of 1080 snowboarding that I asked for Christmas one year and got that instead.
1080 is amazing.
So just gonna throw that out there, Mom.
Well, I guess I'll just say I think we are on the same wavelength, Ed, because I would deep love Donkey Kong. Super Mario 64 is something I can return time and time again, so I'd marry that. And then I would just blow up Cool Borders. Sorry.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely the same. I think Mario 64 is the best out of all these games. Donkey Kong, it's fine. There's like a real divide with that game somewhere. I thought it was just fine. So I will deep love Donkey Kong, marry Super Mario 64, and destroy Cool Borders. Especially if it's the first one. If we're talking about Cool Borders 2, that may be a different story. But it's just Cool Borders, then we're going to kill it. Destroy it. Blow it up. Break the disc. Throw it out.
Kabloomy.
Yeah. Put it with your AOL internet discs and throw them as frisbees. I don't care what you do. Use it as a coaster.
Yeah.
Blow them up with the fireworks.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my goodness. Shout out to Big Nick. He is a great comedian. And he has a podcast on fantasyfuneral.com that you guys should check out. He's super cool on Twitter. He continues to make me laugh. So it was awesome to actually get a question for him. And I kind of like this kind of question. Because I never get to do it or anything. So if you guys want to send more questions like this, please send us more deep love, marry, or destroy kind of questions.
Yeah. That's all. We don't have any other questions today. So
well, thanks, Big Nick. That was fun.
Yes.
Well,
we're going to get into our final thoughts then. I'm going to start with you, Stephanie. Any final thoughts?
My final thoughts is I want to go bananas. I'm looking forward to Donkey Kong. I think this is a big title that the Switch 2 needs. And I hope people are picking up. Oh, a quick question. Are you guys picking up the $30 amiibo that goes with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm actually shocked they didn't make 2 different amiibo for this. They could have gotten double the money. Like a Pauline amiibo would have done gangbusters, I feel like.
I would say that people would just come in droves for her, but maybe it's because they want Donkey. I don't know, whatever.
I mean, yeah. Plus, like Pauline, like we all know who she is, but how many other people, maybe don't really know who Pauline is unless they played Odyssey, even though she's the oldest princess technically. If you want to, I don't know. It's strange, but yeah, Pauline should have gotten her own amiibo. Maybe she will at a later date. Who knows?
Maybe. All right, that's my final thought.
All right, Corey, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just anybody out there who's like thinking a lot about this Xbox thing, or if you're an Xbox fan and you wish you would have invested in a different platform, or if switches your secondary platform to one of the others, just don't worry about it. Just play where you want to play games, and if one of these consoles goes away, like if Xbox is really making the transition to more of a PC centric focused kind of console, like they're gonna I feel like they would try to make it right as best as they can to have your library transfer over to some sort of new ecosystem that they're building, or merged ecosystem. Or if you really want to, obviously their games are on PlayStation as well, so you just don't worry about it for now. Just play what you love and play where you want to play,
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually looking at PlayStation 5 Pros today online for some reason.
Nice.
Mostly as like a future proofing thing, but that's a different conversation
goes.
for a different day.
Well, everybody, my final thought is keep cool because we know that summer is here and it's getting hot kind of everywhere. I know
it's hot.
I know Texas has had that flood, so if there's anything you guys could do to help support that, or just keep up with the news to keep up. But during this heat wave, make sure you keep it cool. You get some ice cream, you get a fan, stay hydrated. If you don't have to be out in the sun, do not go out. If you do, please have your SPF on. Really take care of yourself during this time, during summer.
Amen.
So yeah, that was my final thought. Everybody, Stephanie, Corey, thank you guys so much. You made this episode so much fun and interesting. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of Nintendo Pow Block. If you join us live, follow or subscribe to the channel you're watching if you haven't done so already. If you're watching us on YouTube later, like the video and leave your comments with your thoughts on today's topic or leave one of your own. We can discuss in a future episode. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, consider leaving us a 5-star rating and a review. You can support Boss Rush on Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network at a tier that's right for you. You can even follow for free and gain access to our base shows on one of our frees. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Corey. Thank you, everybody. Thank you again for watching and or listening, and we'll see you next time on Nintendo Pow Block. Bye, everybody. Woohoo!
Bye. If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Sana Dirrig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, Retro Stoy, and Christian S. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.